Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be finishing part 4 of the mermaid and dragon boy. I'm calling them lovers. I don't know why, I just liked it. So let's pop in and finish off that background. So guys, we're going to work on the background here today. So I wanted to put a little bit of texture through, so I've still got some pencil marks through my background. You don't have to do it this way, you can use the similar colours, and if you use the same blending technique that you've used in the skin and things like that, you can get a smoother effect. So I'm going to be using 3 main blues for the water. I've got the Thalio Blue series, so we've got Thalio Blue and middle Thalio Blue, and then we've got light Thalio Blue. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just putting in these pencil marks through where I want the darker colour to be. So as I said, we're not going to be smoothing this off too much. It will still have sort of pencil marks through it, which I kind of wanted to have a vertical sort of look to it, and I've done the same in the sky as well. The clouds are a little bit of the same actually. I've just done a really light colouring them just to put some colour through the clouds. I just coloured the end of the tail there in purple violet to match the hair because I hadn't finished off that tail section, so I've just done that there. So yeah, I'm just coming around and just randomly putting this in over all of this area. So I don't need to worry about the bubbles because I'm kind of actually having the colour through the bubbles will help, because I'm going to use some white paint on those to give those to get those little shiny bubbles through the water. I did have trouble with the gel pen going over the Caran d'Ache blender, so it was easier to use the paint because it sat on top of that nicely. So I'm just coming in now with that middle Thalio Blue, and I'm just sort of marking out more sections, going over the darker areas and bringing this a little bit further. I'm kind of being rough and just putting it all over these areas. I'm not worrying about where I'm putting it, and trying to get a little bit of texture and different colours through different sections of the water, because it won't all be the same colour. The other option that you could do here is you could put some streams of light through towards her by using a technique where you would just miss the rays of light coming through. You could do something like that as well. So I'm just doing this one because I'm usually quite rough with my backgrounds and I don't like them to take away from the image that you're actually looking at as well. But anyway, I'm coming through here now with still the middle Thalio Blue and just sort of filling out most of these sections. You can still see white areas through there, and that's okay too. I just wanted to shout out to a friend of mine who actually created the music for my intro and my intro and my end screen there. She's a fantastic artist, a beautiful person. I have linked all of her details obviously in all of my videos, so you can go and have a check out of some of her things as well. So I'm coming in now with some light Thalio Blue, and I'm just sort of going over the lighter sections and also going over the darker sections as well to mix this colour through. So I want to try and get a bit of pigment on there so that when I do sort of roughly blend over this, there'll be enough pigment there to cover most of the tooth. So I'm going to come back in now with some firmer pressure to put in these darker areas and just sort of go over again, as I said, to sort of create a little bit more pigment on there to be able to spread around when we blend it through. So I'm just going in and doing that now, and I've popped up the colours on the screen there so you can follow along as well. As I said, I'm not too worried about the bubbles. I have gone over some of them, some of them I didn't because I wanted them a little bit lighter, and when I use this blending stick I actually blend over the top of those bubbles and push the pigment into them, so some of them are lighter and some of them are darker. just moving my blending stick into a pencil extender so I could hold it a bit better, but the pencil extender was actually hurting my hand, so I do swap it over for the one that my Caran d'Ache pencil was in a little bit later, because it's a little bit smoother and easier to hold. But I'm just going over now with that. Also too, I did go over the arm a little bit with some blue, just to sort of change the tinge just slightly on his arm as well. He's not actually got his arm in the water, he's on top, but you can, if you were looking up through the water there would be some colour from the water on his arm as well, so I did make sure I sort of laid a little bit of colour over that as well. So I'm just going to finish blending this off with the blending stick now. So as you can see, I've swapped back over to the other pencil extender, which is a lot more comfortable for my hand. So once I've done this, I'm just going to put a little bit of white flecks through, flatten off a little bit more of the tooth, and I'm also going to put a little bit more of the darker blue in there just to deepen up that blue sort of streak through the water there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and then I'm going to go and set up my highlights and things that I'm going to use for putting on the highlights. So you'll need a brush, with a small brush with a pointed tip. You'll need some watercolor opaque white paint, or you could use white ink. I know that the Copic has a white ink, and so does Eco something, hang on. I've got one here from Ecoline as well, which is just the same as opaque white or gouache. So there's lots of different products that you can use to do the white with, but as I said, I had trouble with the gel pen. It just wouldn't roll over that Caran d'Ache blending stick, so I'm just going to test it here and show you that. It just would not go on, so I was just like, nah, we're going to have to get the paint out. So we'll go ahead and get all that out now. So I've got my paint there, and I've got my nice thin small brush, and I've got some water, and I've got a little tray that skews the other colours in there. They're from previously, so I don't actually take them out of the pots. I use them, just they dry up a little bit, but I still can continue to use them if you add water. So I'm just coming around the bubbles now. Each one of them I'm lining where the black line is. I got rid of most of the black on them. Some of them you can still see a little bit shining through, but that's okay. And I put a little dot at the top of each of the bubbles, And I also am going to put a tiny little line on the bottom of each of the bubbles as well. So we're creating sort of the illusion that it's a shiny bubble there. I'm just going to go ahead and fill these ones out for you. So with the watercolor paint, if you do make a mistake, it's great because you can just wipe it off gently with a damp cotton pad or cotton bud or something like that, and you can start again. So have a practice. Also too, you can just see I scratched it off because the background's nice and smooth and it's got a nice waxy texture. When you scratch, it just pops off as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish these bubbles off. So I'm going to put away all the watercolor stuff. I do actually realize later on though that I need the white, so yeah, I get it back out again in a minute. I'm just using a black liner. Now this one I actually picked up from the art shop this week, and it goes over the waxy pencil residue as well. The build up on it didn't happen as much as what I've seen with other felt tip fine liners, so that was good. It worked quite well on top of the pencil, which was what I was trying to achieve. Quite often when you use a marker or pens, felt tip pens like this, the pens actually pick up the waxy pigment onto the felt, so what happens is that the pens actually stop working. So I was trying to find something that would still work over the top, and this one seems to have worked quite well, so I just wanted to point that out as I go. So I'll pop a description of the pen that I'm using there. It's an Artline brand. I don't know if you guys have it over in America, a Pilot brand I should say. So I'll just pop a description of it in there for you so you can have a look. Just brought that white paint back in now, and I've just put a couple of highlights on the eyes, and I also sort of accentuated the little white spots that I left there as well to make sure they were covered over nicely. But I've done the male eyes as well, to make sure that they are looking nice and bright as well. I've come in now with that white paint and I've decided to put some in the whiter areas of the picture. So anywhere where I've got highlights, I'm just going to make them a little bit brighter and stand out a little bit more by using the white over the top of those. So I'm going to use the same method on the background that I did in the water. So I'm just going to use vertical lines. Also too, I actually had a friend over and we were doing some colouring, and I noticed that when you don't put something underneath your picture, and I'm just doing this directly onto my cardboard bench part there, and it actually did leave a bit of texture. So if you don't want that texture and you want it a little bit smoother, make sure you put something soft underneath it, like a couple of pieces of copy paper or whatever under it, so you've got that nice cushioned sort of effect. I've just filled in the bit of the wing there I missed as well, so I've just done that. But yeah, I'm just going to do the colours. I'll come up on the screen for you. I'm doing exactly the same thing as I did with the water there. So I've gone over that with a few colours now. We've got some nice shades through there. You could use some white pencil if you wanted to fill that over the top. It will make it more pastel and a lot lighter, or you can just go ahead and use a blending pencil of some sort. I'm coming in and doing the clouds as well now. I'm just going to use some medium flesh and some light flesh. I wanted sort of some pinky tones through them, just so you could see that they were there and not so bright white as they are right now. I didn't want to put a lot of colour through, and I still wanted them to be a little bit white, so that's what I've used to do that. So you can just follow along. I think I've nearly finished actually. I've put a little bit of magenta through there, and I'll probably put a little bit of blue in there as well. So I have used really light pressure the whole time through this. I'm using some sky blue now through there as well. So I haven't put a lot of pressure down and indented the paper or anything. I'm trying to keep it nice and light. So I'm going to go over the clouds with my white Luminance pencil, and it is very, very tiny. That's why it was in the pencil extender, so you can see there how baby sized it is. It's still got plenty of use out of it, or left in it I should say, but that's what I'm using here. So it does look quite different to the one I was using earlier because it had the extender on the end of it. So I'm just going to colour over all of the white sections of the cloud with this, and then I'm going to use the Caran d'Ache blending stick and use that over the sky parts of it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off now. So guys, that's the end of the video today. I really do hope that you enjoyed this series and color along, and I'm really happy to have done this for Jenny Luan. She's a fantastic artist, as I've said before, and I really do like her images and her outlook on life. It's fantastic. Alright, so guys, thanks again so much, and if you have any questions, please don't forget to ask in the event, that's fine, or also on the comments below. Don't forget to have a look at the description as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. Thanks guys.